Okay, guys, show us what you got.
The fun begins now.
I'm sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
That's fine for me. That's good. Those are just stupid things that aren't supposed to happen.
I was writing all these notes. I thought I had all these positive things to say, and then I just threw them away.
Your team, your season is on now.
Oh, they throw a flag.
It's Sports Talk.
That's the fact, Jack.
Here we are back, finally, after a long hiatus, here with Pete and...
Kevin's just sitting there doing nothing.
And Kevin's just sitting there. He was on assignment, I understand, scouting the lingerie football league over in Greenland, I believe it was.
Yeah, I got a good gig washing uniforms. That's all I'm going to say.
Good job, Pete. I think you were doing some medical research.
Yeah, I was at the University of Maryland Upper Chesapeake Hospital playing guinea pig.
All right, and I was Zen Buddhist temple trying to find myself.
You were sitting at a bar drinking beers, what you were doing. Don't lie to me. Lie to your wife. Don't lie to me.
Potato.
Yeah.
Since we've been gone, the Redskins have hired a new coach, Ron Rivera. As I explained to somebody, one of two coaches that the Redskins managed to get fired last year. Is this the right move, Pete, do you think? He's getting seems like a lot of the Carolina coaches to come along for the ride.
Well, Joe, I've been saying, I was a Jay Gruden guy, and unfortunately, his message was lost on the players. Well, what the hell? After 5 years of, I don't say mediocrity, I guess it was below mediocre, but nonetheless, underachieving, because they did have talent on this club, but nonetheless, I was a Jay guy. But his message was lost, and today's football players, I don't know what it is about them. They're prima donnas, they're flashy, and it's hard to get through to them. And that's what made it so difficult for guys like Shanahan and Joe Gibbs. I'll use those two as an example here, for them to get along with the modern-day player. It was difficult for them.
Rivera is supposedly the guy that can do that.
And that's exactly right. He has that respect as an elder, not an elder, but an older guy, been in the league forever, and he relates to the young guys. And he can, he's like an individual mentor coach. He will sit down and talk to each player, and he'll talk them through the problems, and he'll go over the playbook with them as a tutor. And if he has to take his shirt off and show them how to do it, he does that, which is, these guys like to see. So, yeah, it was a good hire. He's a smart guy. He's a smart football guy. He's a no-nonsense guy. He's a disciplinarian, and he does things by the book, and he was taught. He was taught the game, and he knows how to teach the game, and that's what the Redskins need. They have a bunch of raw talent on this team, especially on defense. And they're very teachable guys. And listen, if all things go well in the draft, with Jack Del Rio running the defense, this could be a very nasty unit.
So I'm going to guess here you're buying into this.
I'm buying into this, and I'm a sucker for buying into so many other things, but this was a scenario that I pondered and I was talking about midway through the season when right before Del Rio got fired, or not Del Rio, before Rivera got fired in Carolina. I was like, this guy's going to be on the open market, and he's worth taking a look at. He's one of the guys you want to take a look at. But I was also saying that the Redskins could be like the 49ers and get younger in the front office, and they can get younger on the sidelines.
Do you like the idea that they went coach first, and we'll get to the GM later and some of the other front office people? Or
and I'll tell you why. Because they promoted Doug Williams to the head of player personnel, pro personnel. So he's the head of the scouting department, and Doug is a real smart guy. He knows what he's doing.
Well, they just demoted him to.
No, they brought him up. They actually gave him a new title, and they gave him a promotion. Right. So
now, some people call that a demotion.
I don't think it is, because hey, listen, they gave him more jingle, so that's a promotion in my eyes. But nonetheless, the scouting department has done their job. They have gotten talent in here for this club, and Ron, I keep calling him Jack. Ron Rivera is, he's capable of picking talent. He knows what he wants. He knows what this team needs. He's probably watching film right now as we're recording this show. He's probably watching film and taking down notes as what he needs, what he wants to do. It's not rocket science. It's a stupid game. You get the right people in place, and anything can happen. Look what happened with the Rams. The Rams were, they had their days in the sun, but, then all you need is a fresh face on the sidelines. Things can turn around in a minute. And look at the NFC East. It's kind of a disaster.
Right.
So it's up for grabs. 9-7 wins it, and that was the worst 9-17 to ever represent anybody. So anything can happen.
Well,
and all it takes is a spark.
They also let go the guy who was their senior vice president of football ops and their lawyer at the same time, Eric Schaefer. He has all the scouting notes in his bag. If he gets picked up by someone else, is that going to be bad?
No, it's not bad because he has the same notes that everybody else has. It's no secret that the Redskins aren't a secret sitting on the sidelines with their video cameras and their notepads watching Senior Bowl practices and other, college trials. They all do the same thing, Joe. So, it's not a danger.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they need somebody that's going to be able to work these contracts, get the kinks in there, get these kids signed, and that's what's important right now. And once the draft is over, that's when they're going to bring somebody in that's going to be able to manipulate the salary cap, work the salaries, and get these players signed and locked up and secure. That's what's important.
It seems to have worked in a couple other cities. San Francisco hired Kyle Shanahan, and before they hired John Lynch, it seems to me the playoff teams are the ones that are doing this. Hire the coach first.
This isn't our granddaddy's NFL. This is a new breed of football, and you got to pay attention because it's rapidly changing. I like the direction in some aspects of it, but I just don't like the modern day player because they're not the tough players. Like I got last night on Facebook, this friend of mine and I were talking about Joe Jacoby may never be in the Hall of Fame. Well, because it's the new breed of people that are making these decisions, and they don't know who Joe Jacoby is.
Right.
So the hip hop guys, the shiny buff, the video YouTube guys are the ones that are being recognized now, and that's unfortunate because you're losing the legends of the game.
Exactly. I mean, shoot, how many people from that Super Bowl team from the Redskins do you think deserve to be on the Hall of Fame? A lot of them.
You got Monk, Green, Riggins, of course, Russ Grimm.
But you should have Jacoby and Bostic in there as well. In my opinion,
Bostic is an argument. You can argue Bostic, but Jacoby should be in Hall.
Okay.
But we're straying away from so that style, that team, those type of players are non-existent now. Because now they're all body beautiful, 6% body fat warriors, and they have it in their heads. It's not refreshing to me. I'm not. That's what's turning me off with the NFL.
That's what's turning me off. Because for me, it's a lot of this. You can't touch this person here. If you hit him too hard, we got to throw a flag, and it just seems a little less.
Well, it's the Carl Spackler from Caddyshack mentality. In order to catch a varmint, you got to act like a varmint. I mean, when you put it in those simple terms like that, and I know it's a stupid, quote from a great movie, but essentially that's what we're talking about right now. Is that the wiser people, the adults in the room, have to sometimes act like the kids in the room in order to get through to these kids to make them successful. With Rivera, you have the best of both worlds because this guy's going to hit you in the head, but he's going to hug you in the same instance, and that's a good mixture to have, So I think if Schneider can stay out of it, Joe, it could very easily work.
Well, there's there it is. I mean, I think that's something we've been saying for years. If Snyder can stay out of it, everything will be just fine. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Do you think that there's language in the contract at the minute that you question my authority, that I'm just going to turn my back on you and just walk off on you? I think that there probably would be that language in this contract.
I would hope there is, yes.
You have to protect yourself because at that point, that's career suicide. And, even I couldn't fix that team. And I think Dan Snyder, I think he finally realizes that, the straw that broke the camel's back was Bruce Allen. Bruce may have been brilliant in some aspects, but as far as talent evaluation and running an operation itself, it didn't work.
I always thought that Bruce Allen, when he first came in, his job was make sure Dan Snyder doesn't pull a Dana Stubblefield or Albert Hainsworth again and get some guy that he can overpay. And he did it well. And then it all went to hell after that. But you're right, he just doesn't have the talent he can't see what's the college player and say, that's a good player, that's a good player. He's not GM guy.
He's not a GM guy. He's a numbers guy. And, he's been good with the contracts. And what was the guy's name that was doing a contract? Schaefer was his name.
Mm-hmm.
Schaefer was good with the contracts. Well, how complex are contracts now? I mean, they're pretty uniform now with the Players Association and they're all joined in. So, unless you're a gold brick, you're basically getting a rubber stamp contract these days. What pisses me off are the guys that have 2 years remaining on their contract and they want to redo their deal. Well, don't blame the owner and the general manager and the team for your misfortunes. You blame your lawyer. You have an agent that did something stupid. You just agreed with it.
Yeah.
So don't take it out on the team that you're playing for. You're still making an ungodly amount of money.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that goes out to Trent Williams. You can use that cancerous growth on the top of his head till the cows come home. He was unhappy with money, and the Redskins just kind of thumbed their nose. That's one time that I did side with Bruce Allen and Dan Snyder when they thumbed their nose at Trent. And then he started pulling I've got cancer on my head. Okay, he had cancer on his head. You have a personal responsibility to go to your doctor on top of the team physician. I feel bad that he went through that. It's horrible. I'm glad that it's fixed. But you know what? Don't point the finger at the Redskins. That was not the Redskins' fault.
Do you think he's coming back next year?
I hope not. Not.
You'd like to see him trade?
What's his value now, Joe? What is Trent Williams' value? The guy hasn't played a complete season in 3.5 years. Well, now with this sitting out this whole year, 4.5 years. He hadn't played a complete season in 4.5 years. 16 games in 4.5 years. Something wrong.
Also, one of the other guys that Ron Rivera brought in is Scott Turner, son of Norv, to be the offensive coordinator. I don't know. Is this...
How funny is that? It was, Norv was Dan Snyder's first firing. He was the first guy that Dan Snyder fired, and now it could be his. Hey, listen, Scott Turner is one of those bright minds that I was talking about. One of those young guys that are into the game and they know how to work. His offense was good, when they were healthy down in Carolina. But once again, that team just hit a wall. They couldn't go any further. So I'm not afraid of him.
No, I'm not either. I think he's actually going to be help to Haskins more as well, and maybe turn him into something.
Well, I mean, let's see what they do in the draft. I mean, is Haskins going to be in competition for his job next? Well, I think every player on the field.
You don't think they'd actually consider taking
I don't think Rivera will want to rock the boat his first year with the team. But it wouldn't shock me if they did bring in some kind of something to push him. He hasn't been pushed. He was thrown into a situation, and I think he did okay. I think Haskins did okay. But he was thrown into that situation. But, if he has somebody pushing him now, you're going to see who the real Dwayne Haskins is. He's a dynamite talent. He's a big, strong kid, and he's got a cannon for an arm, and he's pretty active. I'd like for him to be a little bit more mobile, but if he can't be any more mobile, I mean, you can't teach speed, but, he can be swift. Look at Ben Roethlisberger is a prime example of that. You give him a good offensive line, and he can sidestep any kind of rush that's coming at his way, and he can just spot off He's not big like Roethlisberger, but he's still a big kid. See, but he just needs somebody to push him and somebody to protect him. Now we got to go to the running game. How are we going to protect him if we don't have a running game? Is Adrian Peterson going to be our guy next year? He's getting along in the tooth. He's still proven himself as a worthy NFL back. Geis hasn't proven himself to be able to stay healthy.
I was going to say, I don't think it's Geis.
It's not going to be Geis. I don't think Geis is going to be on the roster next year. If he is, it's a miracle, but how long is he going to be there? And then you got to look at, Chris Thompson. Chris Thompson's another one that can't stay healthy. Plus, Chris Thompson's contract's up. Is he going to be with the Redskins on a contract? So there's a lot of question marks in that backfield that are more important to the Redskins than the quarterback.
There's a lot of question marks all over the place.
It looks like we got some tight ends. The tight end position, vastly improved as we got later in the season.
All right. Well, let me ask you this: I've just anointed you GM of the draft guy for the Washington Redskins. So you got the second pick. You want to just take Chase Young because he's going to be the best athlete on the board. B, say somebody else can have Chase Young, who we want an offensive lineman, or C, trade down, still get that offensive lineman and give Chase Young to somebody else.
I think Chase Young is an angry beehive. You stuck a stick in the beehive, and that's going to turn an above-average defense into a nasty defense. So I'm going to take the first option, and I'll tell you why. He's going to make that defense a lot better. He's going to make them a lot less, he's going to make them a lot less predictable. When they switch to the 43, they're going to be able to get to the quarterback because now you have speed. You have speed off of the edge.
What are they going to do with Kerrigan? What's that going to do? What's that going to do to Ryan Kerrigan?
Listen, Ryan Kerrigan, he's been, 12 years in the league now?
Something like that.
The injury bug bit him this year. He finally missed games. He's never missed a game since he's been a professional, and I think he missed the last 4 or 5 of the season. Listen, he's still worth being there. I'd like to see Kerrigan operate out of a 43. He's still capable. I was bitching and moaning at the trade deadline last year that I would like to have seen them trade Kerrigan to a contender. I'd like to have seen them trade Trent Williams to a contender. Even if you're getting second and third round draft picks, you're still getting second and third round draft picks for somebody that may never play for you again. And I was talking about Trent Williams.
I would like to seen him traded to Cincinnati.
Yeah. That's where he belongs. I'm very down on Trent Williams, so I don't want to see him come back because I don't think he's going to help this football team. Ryan Kerrigan can still help this football team, and he said, right as soon as the season ended, he wants to stay in Washington. He wants to be here. This is his home now. He loves it. That kind of makes you feel good that a big shot player on a dysfunctional team, and you still love the atmosphere. That still says something about that locker room. That there's something there to salvage.
He has been in the year 9 in the league 9 years.
Okay, so he's going into year 10. So he's, this is his decade.
He will be 32.
32. So, he still has a good 2 or 3 years in him if he stays healthy, barring any kind of catastrophic injury. And now we start talking about offensive linemen. When you gave me the A, B, and C, where I've already said Chase Young is our guy. Don't look any further.
Okay.
Offensive line, I think, you can get guys that are free agents. There's going to be a lot of free agents out there that you can sign, and you can get them pretty much on the cheap. And then the second, third, and fourth rounds, you can get an offensive lineman. You can, I don't believe in wasting. I say wasting. I don't believe in spending your first round pick on an offensive lineman unless it turns out to be, Jonathan Ogden and how many of those guys are out there right now?
Mm-hmm.
There's no guys like that out there. So why would you even, think and consider using a first-round draft choice when you can have a game changer at linebacker? Listen, the Redskins are going to need a whole lot of defense because it doesn't look like they're going to be able to score a lot of points. They may fool us, but I think their defense is what they're going to have to, they're going to have to rest their hat on next year. They're going to have to keep these guys down, and not give up a lot of points.
Well, one of those offensive line free agents is Brandon Schiff. Do you want to keep him?
Yes, he's an anchor. He's your right guard. He's, he and Morgan Moses are holding down the right side, and that's where a blocking tight end is most important at your weak side. And you can go and get yourself somebody that's gonna be able to cover their butts. They haven't had. That's why offensive linemen get injured, Joe. Is that when they're doing more activity than they normally do, that's when they're out of position and they're out in open space and they're getting clipped, they're getting popped. That's how they get hurt. When they're taking on 2 and 3 guys, it takes its toll on your body.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Think about it, and that's what Brandon Scherf has been through. How many centers has Brandon Scherf been through?
Oh, yeah. Chase Roulier was last year and part of the year before.
You drank more. You drank less beers this weekend than he's at centers.
That's
playing next to him, and you probably had your fair share of beer.
Yeah.
But my point
is
his blind side's not protected.
Mm-hmm.
Coming off of his left side is not protected. So it's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult to stay healthy. Now Chase Roulier is probably going to be, a real good one, but they just have to have continuity along their front line. And I think that you can find a comparable left tackle and just, turn your back on Trent Williams altogether. And that's what I'm thinking of that they should be doing.
The Redskins have a first round, but not a second round pick. I'm making sure of that. I think they don't have a second round pick. Do you want to try to find one, or do you want to just go, whatever?
Well, that's the beauty of having a guy like Ron Rivera is that like I said, he's probably looking at film right now as we speak. And he's probably got 10 zillion scenarios, draft day scenarios going through his mind right now. And, he probably has plans. This is me talking. He probably has plans for a guy like Trent Williams. Can we get a second and third? Can we get a third? Can we get a middle of the road second round pick for a guy like Trent Williams? Yes, you can. So there's a bargaining chip right there. He has value to somebody else. He just doesn't have value to us. And, we can go tit for tat with a guy like Trent. But there's many other guys on that team. I'm picking on Trent.
That's okay.
And that's obvious.
That's okay.
But there's some guys on this team that are very tradable, and I think that somebody else would want them, and it would be worth giving up, some picks for. So.
Who else do you want to trade?
Josh Norman, you instead of cutting him, he's of value to somebody else.
You're listening to HomeGameSports.com.
Well, you said there's no place for the Redskins to go but up, but if you're at the top of the NHL, there's no place for you to go but down. The Capitals have lost 2 games to the Flyers, and last night to New Jersey was just, oh my God, beyond belief how they lost that game. But they still have to play Jersey again and Carolina at home. Carolina is actually a team that's in the playoff hunt right now. Jersey isn't. I don't know if you watched any of that game last night.
I didn't. I was glued to the football game.
Okay. It was not.
I was paying attention to it online, and I actually, I'm up in Hartford County now, so I was listening to it on the radio on radio.com. That's pretty cool, by the way. And I got to listen to it, but it just got out of hand. Jersey had them running all over the place, and it was like the Capitals could not keep up. Holtby did give up a couple that he probably shouldn't have given up in this game, but I don't know. I was reading the ESPN Power Rankings, which we know mean absolutely nothing, but it included this stat that the Capitals have 17 road wins this year, and that is more than any other team has home win. No other team has 17 home wins. The Capitals have 17 road wins. Should they play all their games at a neutral site or on the road? Early on, I think before when Kevin and I restarted doing this, it seemed like the Capitals' their home record isn't as good as their road record, and it isn't. You just said they have 17 wins on the road. I don't know what it is about home ice in them right now. They're not bad at home, but they're just middle of the road. And thank God that they're better on the road, or we wouldn't be having playoff conversations right now. They're gonna catch fire. Every team goes through a little swoon. You're playing 82 games, Joe.
Yes.
A lot of games. 82 games is an eternity. So, and they've got a comfortable lead, but I don't want to see them sit on that comfortable lead. They've got to build on it. We're approaching the All-Star break. These guys, their legs are tired. Teams' philosophies are changing. Guys that they're coming up against, some of the stuff that we're doing is being figured out. And that's one thing that I've had a problem with Todd Reardon, is that he doesn't stay on these guys. I don't know what he works on in practice, because a lot of times they continue to do the same things to no avail, and there's no changes being made. Now, right now, yesterday, Brian McClellan said that he gave Braden Holtby confidence that he's our guy. So what does he do? He goes out and he lays a 5-goal egg. He lays a 5-goal egg, and on the day that the general manager gives him confidence, to me, that's just put the Frankie on him, put the evil eye on him.
Well, I'm not really concerned about Holtby. Like you said, I think every team goes through that swoon, I guess you called it, and I kind of like it to happen now for the Capitals rather than later. But I'm not concerned that Holtby. I mean, he went through this 2 years ago. Grubauer stepped up and played so well for the rest of the regular season, and then not so much in the first 2 games of the playoffs. And then Holtby came in, and what does he end up doing? Holding a big cup over his head.
Yeah, well, okay. Listen, that one save that he made, that sprawling save that he made, that saved our season, and that that hoisted him to the cup. So I mean, hey, listen, he's a great goalie. He's proven himself to be the Mount Rushmore of.
TJ Oshie was elected, I guess, by the fans, the last guy in for the Atlantic Division. So it's an about time, actually. I think this TJ Oshie's first All-Star game.
That guy works so hard. He's a mucker. He goes out there and plays.
Yeah, I find it kind of hard to believe that this is his first All-Star game, but
I was kind of blown away by that too. I'd like to have 5 players like that kid on the roster.
Oh yeah,
he's an animal. He's really good. He does everything so well. He's just so disciplined. He's just by the book.
Well, I'm gonna try to find his stats on it, because another guy who's finally coming around. Jacob Verana scored the goal last night, and that's number 20 for him. Kind of an about time for him as well. This is a kid that Craig Laughlin said should be scoring 30 and 40 every year, and I don't know when he's going to. Maybe this is the year that he wakes up and does that. I think he'll get to 30 this year. I don't think he'll get to 40. But again, this is the young talent, part of the young talent that I talked about on this team. That they have to start moving. They can't just look at number 8 and go, could you score a few goals for us here? We need help. They got to.
Number 8's not going to be there in a couple of years.
No, exactly.
Exactly. Number 8 will not be there in a couple of years, and then what are they going to do? I mean, Nicky Backstrom's not going to be there in a couple of years. They could probably use him for another 2 years, and then now you're starting to think, okay, well, how productive is Nicky Backstrom right now? He's still all over the ice, and he still handles the puck well. He's putting up good assist numbers, but his goal production is down. That's okay because there's 2 or 3 other guys that are stepping up and they can, they're goal scorers as well. So, but my point is, you're not going to have Nicky and you're not going to have Ovechkin in a year or two, and where does that put you? Oshie's going to be another. Oshie's not a spring chicken.
No,
but
he's younger than Ovi and
he's younger than Ovi and Backstrom, but he's still not a spring chicken. He got another 2 or 3 years of him. Sounds like an eternity. In hockey, it could be over in one. But they're a mature team, is what I'm saying, Joe, and they have a lot of things that are working in their favor, and that's where the maturity comes into their favor. Is that they're getting it done and they know what they're doing and they work well together. But that window's starting to close. That window of opportunity is starting to close, and guys like Jacob Verana are the guys that they're the ones that are going to have to put the team on their back eventually. Are they capable of putting this franchise on their back before?
Well, here's the problem I think the Capitals are going to run into. The answer to your question is yes, I think they can. The Capitals right now have less than 0 cap space. They're under or over the cap, I guess, by almost $200,000. They are going to have to trade somebody to get under the cap. Let's go back to trades. Anybody you want to trade? Do you think they can go?
Well, the guy that got the big vote of confidence yesterday from Brian McClellan, Braden Holt. I think Braden Holtby is pretty tradable. With that kid Copley can come up with Samsonov and make a difference. It's going to be a difference between keeping Nicky Backstrom, signing Nicky Backstrom, or do you sign Braden Holtby and keep him? Both are making under $8 million, I believe it is.
Backstrom is making
doesn't sound like a lot of money.
Backstrom is at 8.
Okay, and then Holtby is at about 5, I believe.
$5 million, yeah.
Yeah, so that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it is a lot of money because, the revenues aren't up in the National Hockey League like they are in any other sports leagues. But nonetheless, that's what the numbers that they're dealing with right now. I don't think Backstrom's trying to break the bank. I think it's a matter of years. I think the Caps would rather sign him for a year, maybe 2, where he wants 3, possibly 4. Well, that puts him over, the 30. They're not going to want to do that. But you could slice 5,000, 5,000. You could slice $5 million and trade somebody who, and I've been saying this for a while, Joe. Hope he's seen better days here.
Yes.
He's seen better days here, and we can live without it.
I agree. I just don't know that that you want to go through the playoffs with the playoffs with Samsonov because Holtby's has the experience. I mean, if I'm going to trade somebody right now, I'm going to trade Nick Jensen, who's making $2.5 million, and I don't know if you're going to like this, or Gudis. I'm not a big fan of Radko Gudis. And then bring up a guy like Alexiev to see what he can do.
The Czechoslovakian kid.
Yeah, Alexiev is the Russian kid. The Czechoslovakian
and Samsonov is the Czechoslovakian. I'm getting confused with these Eastern Europeans.
He's from Eastern Europe. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
2 guys I would trade right off the bat to because again you're going to have to get under the cap by the end of the year, and if you're almost 200,000 over as it is, you can, like I said, you can trade Gudis or Jensen and bring up for a draft pick or something, and bring up a guy who's only making $800,000.
Well, at that point, then you're just scrapping small salaries for bags of pucks, which really isn't a bad deal. That's not a bad idea. But I just think that you can get the mother load of picks if you traded a Nicky. And I don't think Nicky is tradable. I think Holtby is the one that's tradable, and I know I'm picking on him. There's 2 guys that I'm picking picking on in Washington right now is Trent Williams and Holtby.
Very Nolte.
And I'm focused on that. I think that there's real value there. And that's what I'm saying. If you're going to do some horse trading, I think that you can get more value. Not only are you saving millions of dollars, but you're getting more value in future players, and you can learn to live with what you have right now. Samsonov is probably going to pan out. He's got, his feet are wet now. He's in the NHL. He's not going anywhere. I don't think he's afraid of anything. For a young guy, he has a lot of nerve, and he's standing tall in the crease. He's not getting the minutes that Holtby's getting, but, once he starts getting the experience, then you're going to start seeing, a lot more, a lot better play out of him. Not that his play is actually bad, because he is a decent goaltender. He just doesn't have the experience.
Right.
Give him the experience.
Right.
This is a golden opportunity for them to give him and show that, this is the reason why you're number one now. Prove us wrong. Don't prove us wrong. Go out there and prove us right.
So would you like to see Samsonov play more games than Holtby, or just closer to the same amount as Holtby?
They're going to have to split time, Joe, because right now I think Holtby's struggling, and he's just not doing himself or the team any good right now by sweating it out. He's out there. He's shell shocked right now, and teams are just shooting on him, and they're just throwing the puck at him from all angles. He's making some stops, he's making some saves, but he's letting easy shots get through. He's giving up some real easy goals.
He let a couple in last night. And to top it off, the Capitals had a 4-minute power play. It was a double minor, and that's when they scored the goal. But you got that long, they probably their power play should be good enough for them to score 2 there.
Yep.
But that seems to be suffering quite a bit, and I don't know if that's a Todd Reardon thing or if that's a player thing.
Again, Todd Reardon isn't hard on these players like Barry Trotz was, and that's what I miss. I miss the discipline of, we were spoiled with Brian Murray for a lot of years, and that's what Barry Trotz was kind of sort of like Brian Murray, but he was completely different. And when I say he was kind of sort of like Brian Murray, is that he held the players accountable and he let them know it, but he got out on the ice with them, and he was one of those guys. Like, I'm telling you that Ron Rivera is going to be with the Redskins as a coach. Trotz was that same kind of coach. He got out there on the ice with them, and I can't tell you how to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it, and I'm twice your age. I'm just saying, there's guys like that probably have, teams are going to wait for them to be released, for them to be cut. But if you package them up and you sugarcoat it, I'm not saying that it's but it can happen, So again, Rivera, his wheels are turning. He knows what he wants. He knows what he doesn't want. He's only been on the job a week and a half, for crying out loud. So he's only in his first phase of dissecting this roster. He knows who's going to be on defense. He knows what he's going to want across, the offensive line, and so he has a grocery list too.
Okay. So, but in the message here is the future does look brighter for the Redskins. I don't want to say sunshiny bright, because
there's only one way to go, Joe, and that's up.
That's correct.
They've already hit bottom, and it sucked, and they've been on bottom for a couple of years now. And it's time to win the fans back. And the only way you're going to win the fans back is if you show moderate success. And an 8-8 season for the Redskins right now would win a lot of these fans back. Even if they didn't make the playoffs, an 8-8 season would win a lot of them back, because you're showing an effort and you're putting together something that's going to be a winning formula.
I'd like to see an 8-8 season that shows promise for the future.
But we're happy about that. You can build off of that, and you know what you got to do the following season. They could bump their heads and win 9 and 10 games, 11 games. You never know.
I feel like we're turning into Browns fans here.
Now, I hate to think that we're turning into Browns fans, but you know what? There's still something that they can salvage out of this whole thing, and they're not as poor talent-wise as people want to give them or not give them credit for. They were poorly run. When you walk into a building and you know that your company is about to turn the lights off for the final time, kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth, and it's kind of like, what am I doing here?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what it had to have been like to be a Redskins player over the last couple of years. Every time you turn on Twitter, every time you open up Facebook, there's somebody pissing all over you, and that's essentially what was going on.
Here it comes, especially for you.
Sports talk in the district and around the nation with Kevin Copley and Pete Gallick.
Well, now I'm gonna make you cry, Pete, because I don't know if you saw the Maryland-Iowa game.
I do.
I'm not sure if you're going to agree with this, but I really want to tell Anthony Cowan to just stop launching threes from 4 or 5 feet beyond the arc, 20 seconds left on the shot clock, just because the guy is standing 5 feet away from him. It seems like every time I see him, he gets the ball in, dribbles down the court, shoots.
The transition threes that Maryland are doing, you're absolutely right. It's driving me crazy. I'm old school. I like to have the big workhorse back his defender down to the basket and take the high percentage shot. I believe in muscle. I believe that, there should be a power forward, a strong forward, and center. I think that, if you're playing a 4-guard offense, a tall 4-guard offense, but nonetheless you're playing 4 guards, your perimeter game better be on. And Maryland's perimeter game is terrible. They're shooting at below 40%, and that's not good.
Well, I didn't even look. What was it? What did they shoot the other day against Iowa? I mean, they can only put 40 points in there total. I think you made a comment Facebook. It may not have been you. It may have been somebody else that said you think Maryland will drop out of the top 25 after
I
this.
said that. They're done.
I'm going to disagree just based on the Ohio State win.
Well, they're sinking fast too.
When is that poll comes out? It is Sunday.
Midnight tonight.
Midnight tonight. So Maryland total was actually shot 32.7% against Iowa, whenever that game was, but 18% from.
It was Friday night.
Friday night, and 18.2% from 3-point line. Cowan was 2 for 9 from 3-point range, and 2 for 10 overall. So he took a total of 1 shot that wasn't a 3. And the game against Ohio State, I know I saw him driving down the lane, and all I can think of was that's what you got to do. Get to the line.
Well, it's the old Lefty Drizel. If you have perimeter shooters, they're damn sure going to be good foul shooters, free throw shooters. You get your little guys to penetrate and put up a layup. It's going to get blocked, but if it's going to get blocked, chances are they're going to get slapped on the wrist, and you get the other team in foul trouble. Maryland's making it real easy to defense them, because now all you have to do is pack in the zone, because you're not going to give up a long rebound, and they're going to come down and there's going to be 2 passes, maybe 3, and a low percentage shot. So nobody's defending Maryland to take the high percentage shot, because Maryland's not taking it. I still think that our guards should be penetrating and trying to get the big men down low to get layups or dunks. Somebody should be driving the baseline to the hoop and kicking it out to the key, to the foul line, and then have somebody driving down the lane. Maryland's not doing that. The offense is only like 3 or 4 plays, and 2 of those 3 or 4 plays are all kickouts to a 3-point shot, which is ridiculous. And that's just a bad reflection on Mark Turgeon. I thought he was a better coach than that.
I was going to say that's all Turgeon. It's kind of a.
Do you honestly believe that John Calipari, like Krzyzewski?
Hold on a second. We got weird stuff coming on my computer. I don't know how to do that. No. Can you hear that music? Isn't that great?
I'm dancing.
I know.
It's dance party time.
I'm trying.
It's Kevin. It's Kevin the Ghost.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to get stuff to shut off, and it won't.
Don't you love those little gremlins that just pop up all over the place?
Oh my God! I'm trying to look at stuff on and ESPN with all their 5 billion ads that they have to put on and.
So that's you just learned something I learned like a couple years ago doing this stuff that's why I have copious notes and paper everywhere, because I would go to a site and something pop up and I would freak out like, how do you shut this off? I'm right in the middle. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm all over Facebook, but I pick and choose who I want to use. Less pop-ups. But no, I'm getting back to our initial point, Joe. Do you think Krzyzewski would put up with this crap? Do you think that Calipari would put up with this crap? Bryce Drew. Do you think he would put up with this crap? No. If you're doing the same thing over and over and over with the same success, which is no success, you got to change it. You got to change it. There's no tread on the tire. Change the wheels.
How much longer do you think Turgeon lasts in College Park?
If they're one and done in the Big Ten, they're not going to be able to afford him. I think they got 2 or 3 more years left on his contract. So they're not going to be able to afford to pay him $20 million to kiss him goodbye. So unfortunately, we're stuck with him. And I still like Turgeon, but I'm pissed off at Turgeon because I just can't believe that he's trying to put a Band-Aid on a gash. He's not even trying to put a Band-Aid on a gash. He's just wiping it off and hoping that it stops bleeding. Good teams this time of year, you're supposed to change to get better. Good teams this time of year aren't doing what Maryland's doing right now. They're progressively getting worse. And the Big Ten is proving to be a mediocre conference this year. Where they were before, they were picked to be one of the better basketball conferences in the country, and they've suddenly become very mediocre.
I think most quote unquote experts have nine teams from the Big Ten going to the tournament this year.
Well, I mean that's to be expected at this point in time. Where are they going to be? Are they going to be 12, 13, 14 seeds, 16 seeds? No, they're going to be all, that's conference respect. That doesn't mean that the teams that are going in there, Minnesota can win 17 games and get in that large bid. They've got a big game today against Michigan. If they beat Michigan at home today, they're in Minnesota. If they beat Michigan at home today, that's a resume win. But they're still going to have double-digit losses, and they could possibly get into the NCAA tournament.
Next up for Maryland, Tuesday night is Wisconsin. Wisconsin is 10-6. So this is in Wisconsin. This is the game Maryland should win. But they are not great on the road.
No, they're not. And Wisconsin's a scary place to play. It's tough to go into Madison and play. That's a lot. That's a proud team in that uniform. That Wisconsin program is probably, a couple of steps ahead of Maryland's program, even though we've not, we've won a national championship in recent 20 years. Can you believe that? 18 years ago?
Right.
It seems like it happened last week, Joe.
Oh my God, that's right. 18 years. We're all getting old.
Yes, we are. But, Wisconsin still plays hard. And, Maryland doesn't have great success against them. So, it's going to be a tough game. We're going to find out what Maryland is worth. That Ohio State game was a good win until Ohio State started losing back-to-back games. Now, all of a sudden, that just cheapened that win where we looked pretty good and beating the crap out of them.
Right. They are now 1-4. In the conference, Ohio State.
Now we have to go into a hostile environment in Madison, and if we beat them by one, I'll be, of course I'll be happy. But you got to go in there with a semblance of doing something correct and playing basketball the right way. The Big Ten is not a street ball conference, and that's what Maryland's playing right now. There's no discipline. And they're just playing street ball. And like I said, these transition threes, these low percentage shots, their inability to get to the foul line, their inability to get the other team in foul trouble. Again, it's a game. It's a game that's been played for over 100 years. And there's more than one way. There's more than one style. But the style that they developed is of rogue variety. I just think that they're just a bunch of renegades out there. Give me the ball. I'm open. And they're not following their shots, and it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
It reminds me of there's an old story about Hawkeye Whitney at DeMatha, and he was being interviewed on TV, and the reporter said, "What things do you like to do to help your team?" And Hawkeye's response was, "I like to shoot." But that's what it seems to be. It's like, give me the ball, I'll take care of it.
Wow.
We need Gene Hackman from Hoosiers. He passed the ball 3 times.
Last night, I don't know if you watched any. Oh, that right there, that Gene Hackman, that line that used, that from the movie Hoosiers.
Yep.
That truer words could never have been spoken. And again, if you think for a minute that Calipari, Krzyzewski, Drew, any of your Jim Boeheim, any of your top-notch Jay Wright and Villanova, do you think they would allow this crap to happen? No, not at all. And then, when your coach, your leader, the people the boosters that pay you, that make sure that you get your salary, when your coach comes out in the open and says, my players have to look at themselves in the mirror. No, coach. You got to look yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
You're not doing these kids any justice. These are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. You're a grown-ass man in your 50s, and you have a prestigious job, and you're gonna blame these things on your kids. Well, make your kids come inside and play inside. See how much success you have playing inside. You're allowing them to take those shots. So no, you look at yourself in the mirror. He has to have.
They got Jalen Smith is 6'10". Sticks is Jalen Smith is 6'10". How hard is it to get the ball down low to him?
He's proven to be soft, Joe. He put on 25 pounds of muscle, and it was all ass and legs, which should have made him stronger. The kid's got a 7-foot wingspan. He should be able to go down there and play. I think he's afraid to get hit. To be honest with you, I think he's afraid to be beat on, and that's what he needs. He needs to be toughened up. He needs somebody to push him around.
Who would you, besides Jalen Smith, who do you want to see step up and start putting the ball in the basket more? I guess, sir.
It's hard to say, Joe, because they're playing such a small lineup right now.
Right.
Those Twin Towers that they just said goodbye to, the Twin Towers that he just said goodbye to, they weren't the greatest things in the world,
I think they were more a problem.
Ricky Lindo, is he tough enough?
He's a sophomore. I'm just looking to see.
The Mitchell boys are gone. You're never gonna see them again.
Well, I think that's a good thing.
Playing as a forward, but he plays like a guard. You really don't. Tomajic, he's a junior. He's a redshirt. He's not playing. So he's really not that deep as far as big men are concerned. He's playing a guard heavy. He's playing a guard heavy team. So there isn't any real size.
No. I think a lot of that's a recruiting thing. I don't know why you're in this area with some of the best high school basketball in the country.
In the world.
Yes. And you can't get any of these guys to come to Maryland.
Hey, listen, go ahead. I'm sorry, but it's still an attractive place to be. It's still a prestigious school. It's still, they're in a big Power 5 conference. There's a lot to be desired here at the University of Maryland, but right now their performance, just like the football team, there's guys that are backing away from them now. Their performance right now is that, what can I do? He's not utilizing guys like me to the strength of the team. Why would I want to go there if he's not going to use me? See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Your eyes are your teacher right now.
Sports talk in the district and around the nation with Kevin Copley and Pete Kelly.
The Washington Nationals, 2 free agent signings, Starlin Castro, which I really like, and Eric Thames, which I don't really like. What are your thoughts on those 2 guys? Yeah, I don't know why they got Thames, to be honest with you, but
anybody that has any major league experience can go to Japan and just knock the cover off the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They're small parks, they're little bandboxes, and he's coming over here with a lot of confidence. Now, he's not being paid a lot of money to come over here, so it's just a spring training invite, and I think that's what they're going to do with Ryan Zimmerman, and he and Zimmerman are going to probably fight it out, would be my guess. So that's why Thames is coming in here, because nothing's been done with Zimmerman yet. And they owe him a little bit more loyalty. Not a little bit, a lot more loyalty than they're showing him. Mike Rizzo and the Learners like to keep things close to the breast. They don't share a lot of the family business with the media. And I think that, Ryan Zimmerman is classy enough that even if something were not going in his direction, his favor, he already said the smart thing. If it's not Washington, I'm just going to play golf for the rest of my life. Which was the classiest thing anybody could ever say. So he put the ball in Rizzo and the Learners' court by saying that, I'm a national for life. I'm never going to play for anybody else. And I just think by bringing this kid Thames in here, that it just goes to show that Zimmerman and Thames are going to fight it out to be that platoon first baseman.
I think they just want to wait until they get everybody who they want signed, and then they can just say, okay, this is to Ryan Zimmerman. This is what we have left that we can give you. Is this okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I think he'll be back. I think you will play baseball next year. If he does that, how many games you think you can get out of him?
Zimmerman?
Yes.
60 games, which is, that's good.
Yeah.
If you're playing a platoon system, you get 60 games out of him, you're going to probably play 3 guys at first base. You're going to play 3 guys at first base, and, one of them one of them is going to be Howie Kendrick. Kendrick is going to spend a lot of time on the field this year.
I think so, too. I think he's going to
you're going to see him at second, you're going to see him at third, if they don't sign, and I don't think they're going to sign Donaldson.
I don't think so either. I think he's back in.
It's becoming evident. I mean, Rizzo did say that we're not ruling that out. Well, again, he keeps things close to the press, and he's not going to just blurt out anything. We're not ruling that out. And our history, our knowledge of Mike Rizzo, he's ruled it out. So, I don't think you're going to see, Donaldson in a uniform. I wouldn't mind seeing him in a uniform, but not at that price.
Well,
not at that price.
Yeah, he was offered $100 million by 3 teams, and then he said, "Well, I want 110." I think the Nationals and the Braves kind of looked at that and went, "No."
Why does that $10 million mean that much to these guys?
And that's what I was thinking. I mean, you and I aren't going to make $100 million together in our lifetime, so it's easy for us to say, oh, 10 million here or there is not a big deal, but maybe to him it is, apparently, because that's what he's asking for. I want to,
Well, in my mind, when somebody that is of his age still has value, yes, he still has value, but when you have $100 million sitting on the table and you're asking for $10 million more, you're thinking way too highly of yourself. And to me, that just shows that you're not going to be a good fit in this locker room. It's a tight-knit group in that locker room that the Nationals have right now. And the last thing you need, we got rid of one prima donna and he's in Philadelphia now. We miss his production, but we probably don't miss his antics with the hair flips and the bat flips and the commercials and I, me. Jason Worth did not teach Bryce Harper to be that man. Where Bryce Harper, ran to the cameras, Jason Worth taught him to run from the cameras, and he just didn't. So that's what you're looking at with a guy like Donaldson, is that, he might not be a media whore, but, $10 million? Come on, man. Come on. Seriously? Trey Turner just, avoided arbitration to get a $4 million raise and didn't say 2 words about it.
$7.4 million for Trey.
Yeah, and he was making 3, I think. 3.5.
Something like that. And this is his first, he's got 2 more years of arbitration before he becomes a free agent.
They still have control over him, but the Nationals probably will sign him long term. And if you have a dangerous contract on the payroll like you would with Donaldson, then you run the risk of losing Trey Turner. And that's what you don't want to do. But we said the same thing about Rendon.
Do you like the addition of Castro who mostly plays second base?
Well, he's slated to play second base, but he's also penciled in at third. Mm-hmm. In fact, if you read the roster right now, which I just actually pulled it up, Castro is slated as your number 1 third baseman with Howie Kendrick going to be in number 2.
And then you put Cabrera at second, I'm guessing?
Asdrubal Cabrera at second base.
All right. Well, I like this. Like I said, I like the start on Castro signing him. I'm not a big fan of the Thames signing.
I think Thames is just a chess piece right now for Ryan Zimmerman. That's all it is.
He's
low risk. He's low risk. He's only $1 million player.
I think they signed him for 4, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm just saying. He's just, he's a low risk signing. Mm-hmm. It's not guaranteed. He's not. He doesn't get. It's a low risk signing. I don't mind it. I think it's gonna. It's just gonna prove that Ryan Zimmerman's probably gonna win that job.
Here's a couple other guys. They avoided arbitration with Joe Ross, Michael Taylor, Wilmer Defoe, and Ronis. I don't know how you pronounce the last name. Elias.
Elias.
Can only see 2 guys on that list of 5 that I really am like, okay, good job, but I'm kind of surprised they re-signed Elias and Defoe. I'm not quite sure about Taylor.
I wish Defoe swung a heavier bat because he's a good little ball player.
I wish Michael A. Taylor was more consistent, but
and he's another one. And you talk about these guys, they could be considered good trade. You could dangle them out. When Arenado is being shopped around by Colorado wants Victor Robles. Well, So did the other 29 teams. They want Victor Robles, too. You're not getting.
Right.
Michael A. Taylor, guys like Defoe and Taylor would thrive in Colorado. Arenado would probably be too expensive to have here. But, that's what you're looking at. Now, like I said, I wish Defoe swung a heavier bat because he's really versatile. He can play outfield and he can play three infield positions. And he plays three infield positions really good. Keyboom is the one that I worry about. I don't think Keyboom, they have him slated as a short.
Well, I don't.
He has a Schumacher glove. He boots the ball too much.
Well, I think we're gonna see this year because I think he is in the end on the 25-man opening day. He's still listed as their top prospect too.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll be put his bat on the ball and
we have Juan Soto as our starting left fielder.
Look, and
we have a guy that plays left field as well, and the kid's got speed to burn. Is Andrew Stevenson. He has to start hitting the ball better. He hasn't proven to be able to hit major league pitching, but Andrew Stevenson's another player that can platoon at first base. Big kid, good glove, good range. See, so Rizzo is probably not going to be content with what they have right now with their infield combinations. But if they went into the season with what they have right now, I think they would fare pretty well. Pitching staff has to come together. Our starting pitching matches up with anybody in Major League Baseball. Our bullpen is pretty viable now, whereas the middle part of the season, going into the last quarter of the season last year, we were still unsure of our bullpen. We were winning games with offense.
And now you may have to win them with pitching. Who's going to protect Juan Soto in the lineup? I mean, that's the question now. Who's got the power to protect him if not Josh Donaldson?
As Drupal Cabrera and Howie Kendrick are probably going to be in the top 5 in the batting order.
But don't you feel confident about pitching around Soto and getting to one of those guys? I mean,
absolutely. So that's something that they're going to have to work out. So I don't think he's done wheeling and dealing right now, but I do think that he is pretty comfortable and confident moving into the season. Robles, he's still not a proven. I mean, he's proven himself, but he's got to be more productive at the plate. So let's see how hard he worked in the off season. Let's see how his spring goes. And again, I'm not afraid of what the Nats are going to put that on the field. But that question about protecting Soto, you're absolutely right. They've got to have somebody that put somebody behind him and in front of him that you can't pitch around. They'll find it.
Well, I hope so. And I mean, even if they don't, Soto starts drawing a lot more walks. At least he's getting on base, and maybe he can make something happen out there.
I think
just being on base, we don't know.
I think so.
Well, all right. So we should do this again sometime soon.
I'm getting excited. Hey, listen, my favorite time of the year is coming up, and that's, we're getting closer to tournament time. We got to get through January and February, but it'll be here before you know it. And, but that also means that spring training baseball and opening day is right around the corner. My God, we're 3 months away, Joe.
Thank you for listening to Sports Talk on HomeGameSports.com with your host, Kevin Copley, and analyst Pete Gallish. If you have any questions or comments, send them to fanreply@homegamesports.com, and we'll send you an email right back. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you here next week on HomeGameSports.com.